All right, what is going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to another episode of Talking Buffalo, your weekday daily driver for Buffalo Sports Talk and more. My name is Patrick Moran. Thank you so much for watching, for listening. However you are consuming this podcast, I do appreciate you. Big shout out to a few of the show's biggest supporters, Sunny Reds, 1841 Aber Road, just down the way from Highmark Stadium. Also got to give a big shout out, Cheektowaga Country Club, 4712 Genesee Street in Cheektowaga, a few minutes away from the airport. I did a live show there, aired last Friday here on Talking Buffalo with Matt Perino. It was a good vibe, man, a good time. I had never been there before. A lot of stuff to do there. Make sure you go check that out. Check out Sunny Reds. All right, podcast side is normal. This is our Monday episode. On the video side, as usual, I'm live and I'm joined by Joe from Queens. No Bills game to talk about tonight, but we're going to get into plenty of Bills stuff and a lot more besides that, man. What's going on, dude? How you doing? It's been a while. I see the beer. We kind of been, the Bills have not played well, so the last two post-game shows we've been ranting, or at least I have, right from the beginning, but a little more chill format. What's going on, man?
Not much. I got a hay burner here. You don't like hay burners, do you?
I do not. They're too thick for me, man. Perino's a big hay burner guy. He had one at Cheektowaga Country Club.
I know. So let me tell you this story because, giving you a little. So the other day, I took a nap during the day. And what I normally do when I take a nap is I try to do like a 25-minute, 30-minute nap. And I will listen to a podcast. So I put on a podcast, obviously not yours at that moment. Of course not. No. So I'm listening to a podcast at the end of it and I fall asleep. Now, the way it works, I don't know if you have an Apple phone, or you do, because you bragged about getting the iPhone 25 or whatever the hell it's called. So it went into the next podcast, and the next podcast happened to be you and Perino at the golf place. And I'm sleeping, and sometimes you sleep, you're like half awake, and then like something happens, like you hear a background noise, and all of a sudden the background noise kind of comes into your dream. All of a sudden hear Joe from Queens, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I wake up, and all of a sudden I hear you talking about me, and then you're bashing me. And this is like, and I don't listen to your podcast ever.
You should listen more. You see what you're missing out on?
No, that's the only time I ever listen to you. It's rare. You're always talking about me, and it's not in the most flattering terms.
That's not totally true.
You're like, Joe from Queens, the most annoying guy in the world. He actually had a good point for once. So so here on out, I want Tooch is in the chat right now. Yeah. I know he's one of your diehards. Ralph Wilson, Partham. I want you guys, if you guys listen to Pat, because I don't, keep a running tally of how many times he talks about me and report back, because I'm getting concerned about this. And shout out to Mafia Matt. Still got dad brain over here. Mafia Matt. He was happy because I call you out for your pandering. So I appreciate Mafia Matt.
He did.
Yeah, because you pandered to everyone, but you can pander to him, he said.
I did. I did plenty of pandering. I brought up your Kelvin Benjamin take from last week's show on Keon Coleman. We'll talk about Keon and some other Bills stuff. Let's say this out. So today I want to spend some time talking about what I think are at least some of the Bills' biggest truths that we've learned about this team through the bye week. I ran this by Joe this morning, and he told me I was just playing the hits and nothing original, all that stuff. We're going to get to a few other things as well. We got a Mount Flushmore, which has got nothing to do with the Bills or sports, I don't think, anyway, for that matter. But I'm actually looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this. So people in the live chat, they can start to follow along. Before we get going, I do, you know what, man? Birthday shout out. A good friend of mine, Chris Mendola. I got to shout him out on his birthday. Grew up with him, West Side, Abbotsford Place, tiny little street on the West Side. We lived on the same street. He was the second friend I've ever had in my life. Let me ask you this before we get going. Do you remember now? You're in your early 40s. Can you still remember your first friend, or like say your second friend? Because again, growing up on my street, I can remember my friends Steve and Chris. First two friends I ever had. I still hang out with Chris when he lives in Nashville, but he comes up to Buffalo. We've gotten together the last few times. I unfortunately kind of lost touch with my other first friend, but Chris I still talk to whenever we get a chance, we hook up. But do you remember? Can you remember all the way back being a little kid? You're the first friends that you ever had in your life.
I think it was my
you still talk to 'em?
neighbor. It was my neighbor. Her name was Andrea, and she was like
Mhm.
my age, and we hung out when we were like, I think like 4 or 5 years old, and that's it. I mean, I'm Facebook friends with her. She did go to a couple different schools that I went to,
Hmm.
but I'm not like I haven't talked to her in years outside of being a Facebook friend of hers. So that's it. So yeah, we played and ran around the backyard and we stole apples from our neighbor. Now that I remember, because our neighbor had an apple tree, and we would go over there and murder. We would eat them and like take 2 bites and throw them on the ground. And he caught us once, and he was not happy because we did that for a while. So yeah.
Got a couple comments about the Sabres in the live chat. We're going to talk a little bit of Sabres here later in the show. But yeah, going back to that, I think it's cool when you have an opportunity that I or anybody else, man. I don't know, maybe I'm a little more nostalgic than others, but I think it's pretty cool to grow up with somebody, you're 5, 6 years old that you meet, you go to kindergarten with, or first, second grade, whatever. And if you're fortunate enough when you're an adult to still have a relationship with a couple of those people, I think it's
Yeah.
I
I
think it's
mean,
way cool, man.
I'm still pretty cool with the majority. Like my groomsmen, the majority were all people I knew when I was like 12 years old, like
Yeah.
12, 13. So
Yeah,
yeah.
Jonathan in the chat. I still watch football with my kindergarten friend. Yeah, I do. I bet. I really think that's awesome, man.
Well, have you had good friends that you've had fallen out with though, that were
Yes.
younger? But no, you broke up with them, air quote, like you stopped being friends with them when they were kids. 'Cause
Um,
I've had that. Like my one friend, my first real friend was this guy Eric,
mm,
and I was in second grade, he was in kindergarten, and then we just stopped talking probably around I want to say seventh grade. And then my one friend who around seventh grade, this guy Joel, who was like the girls loved him, but then he got into drugs, and then he got kicked out of high school, and I kind of stopped talking to him. Long story short, there's more to it. He ripped off my cousin when they were trying to do a drug
you're calling the guy
transaction.
out decades later. I
Yeah,
love it,
yeah,
man.
yeah. They like they were trying to do some weird. They watched one too many movies where they were going to do a drug empire, and the weed was fake, and then like my cousin was not happy with that, and then I took blood side over that. So yeah,
I that's a good question. I can't think of any. I'm sure I did have fallen outs when I was a kid, but nowhere to the point that I remember. Funny, Mark Carliso in the live chat said Tone Pucks. Funny
yes.
story. That's like my adult one. Like
Mhm.
Tone and I have been frenemies since we were like freshmen in high school. And again, for me, that was in the 80s. And Tone and I are on again, off again. Avid series. Let's just put it that way. We're friends, but we
He's
fight
gonna get
all the
back
time.
with him because hockey season started, so he needs to steal Tone's hockey take. So he's gonna use him for hockey, get back in the hockey graces, and then when the season ends, they'll have a falling out.
He was
That's how it's gonna work.
we're in a group chat. So we went to the Sabres game last week, and the Sabres were 0-3 at the time. And now they're not a joke right now because they've won 2 in a row. But they were 0-3. I don't know if you were paying attention on social media last week, but you could get a ticket to a Sabres game. Who were they playing? Ottawa.
Colorado.
Ottawa was
Okay.
Ottawa. The game they won on Wednesday
Mhm.
last week. He got a ticket for $13. A good seat, too. Like he was about 6 rows behind Lindy Ruff on the bench side. So he got in there for $11. And then he spent $20 on a Surfside, or $18 on a Surfside, and $20 on a Jack and Coke there. I was like, Jesus, man, it's crazy to drink at the arena. By the way, Mike Partham in the live chat too says he's on it about ratting me
Yeah.
out if I talk shit
Yeah,
about
'cause
you.
you talk all the time about me. It's it's just like, come on, man. I
let's
mean,
get
it's
into
fine.
let's get into some topics here. Before we get into like the Bills stuff, I put out a tweet, and I gotta say this was an elite tweet, which is kind of the norm when I put out something. It was a great tweet, a great thought from myself. So credit to me. I want to pull it up. This is what I tweeted out around 7:00 here on Sunday night. I said, it's okay to be honest about things, even if it comes at the expense of your favorite teams. My biggest takeaway from today with Buffalo not playing, as you said, is that New England, Indianapolis, and Kansas City all look significantly better than them being the Bills at this point of the season. I don't know how much, and it doesn't really matter if you watch the games or not. You know the results. And Indianapolis went on the road and beat the shit out of the Chargers.
Yeah.
Kansas City only played the Raiders, but Rashee Rice had a big game. He's back. He looked really good. The Kansas City offense looked really good. And then New England. I mean, granted, yeah, they played Tennessee and they didn't win by a lot, but you know what? It's never easy to win on the road. Drake May broke Tom Brady's record for highest completion and percentage
in a
in a
game.
game or some shit like that. He was just he was magnificent. He was 21 to 23 for 222 yards. Mahomes threw for 286 yards and 3 touchdowns. Rashee Rice had 2 touchdown catches. Daniel Jones threw for 2 touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor ran for 3 more touchdowns. I mean, these are 3 really good teams. Before we talk about the Bills specifically and get into some of their warts, do you agree with that statement right now? Like, these teams, do you feel like are just flat out better than the Buffalo Bills right now?
That's a tough one because we're on such a lull with the Bills the last 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're 4-2. I don't want to overreact, but I don't want to underreact.
Right.
You know, New England definitely is a little bit does scare me a little bit. So that one does scare me because they're kind of newer, and I usually get a little bit more worried about the newer teams because you're like they're still unknown to me a little bit. Even though, like, you know, but they beat the last 2 weeks. They beat the Saints and Titans. Like, I don't know. I'm not like, I know they beat the Bills obviously, but I'm not falling over going, oh my god. I mean, the same. You know, the Colts, I'm waiting for them to fall on their face. And
so was I. I thought it was coming today.
Yeah.
It did not happen at all.
I don't know what happened with the Chargers. The Chargers were always my, like, sweet team. Like, oh, they're going to, like, compete. And now they're kind of a little bit, you know, even though Justin Herbert's good and he's airing it out, their defense is terrible. But I still think in totality, Josh Allen of those 4 teams is still arguably the best player on the planet. Of those guys still there. You know, Mahomes, I'm saying Mahomes is there. Sure. Like, it's flip-flop. But I get where you're going to go with Mahomes. Like, yeah, he's got everyone back. But again, they crushed the Raiders. I know they beat Detroit, so that's obviously, I can't really use that excuse too much. But I'm not,
the Bills haven't beaten anybody except Baltimore in week 1, which we have learned is a very flawed team this season.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I don't want to desert the Bills yet. They have issues. I'm not going to deny that. But there is still a part of me that's not buying these teams where I'm just like, I'm buying the Chiefs. I will buy the Chiefs. Like, yeah, I'm buying them.
It almost feels like they almost don't belong in that category because they're proven like, the other teams aren't.
I'm still not buying the Colts. I even though they're 6-1.
Are you closer to buying them though? I mean,
oh yeah, sure. I mean, they got some weapons. I just can't. Daniel Jones is like, I just can't believe Daniel Jones, but
he might be the MVP right now. If it's not Baker Mayfield, Daniel Jones is in the conversation for MVP. And
Taylor's been great.
Yeah.
Taylor's been great.
He's this year's Barkley, if kind of feels like, or Derrick Henry right now. And this isn't a tiny little sample size anymore, dude. We're 7 weeks into the season. We're getting close to halfway through the season right now. And look, every year, somebody who stinks the year before comes out of nowhere, and they don't just win, they go far. Washington was dog shit 2 years ago. Get a great rookie quarterback last year. They made it to the NFC Championship game. A couple years ago, Houston was a laughingstock for a few years. They get a quarterback, things fall their way, they win their division, and they won a playoff game a couple years ago. Maybe the Colts are that team this year where, you know, nobody even thought about them being a good football team. And look at this, man. I mean, I don't know. Somebody pointed out in the chat, and they're not wrong, the Chargers are going through a lot of injuries right now. Both their starting offensive tackles are out. I don't care, though, man. You go on the road and you win like that, and you're 6-1. I don't know. The way the AFC's going, shit, man. We might mess around, and Indy might be like 14-3 at the end of the season. They're in a pretty weak division with Houston and Indy. Who the hell's the other team? Tennessee's the worst team maybe in the NFL, except for Miami. So I don't know, man. I'm pretty impressed. Now you're right about New England's not beating no one, but I mean they did beat the Bills. But again, Buffalo's the same way. They don't got no signature victories.
Yeah, I just can't jump on that bandwagon. The Chiefs I could do. New England I can kind of do. I'm not buying the Colts yet. And who was the other team you mentioned? It was
Colts, New England, and the Kansas City right now. I think right now all 3 of those teams are better than the Bills right now. I'm not saying they will be in week 18 and 19, but I think they are right now. They're playing better than the Bills. I also forget about just playing better than the Bills. Let's look at the if you look at the rosters, you know, I'm not going to put Josh Allen ahead of Mahomes. I just can't do it. I'll put him ahead of Daniel Jones and Drake May, although those quarterbacks are playing really good. But beyond quarterback, I just feel like these rosters right now are better than the Bills. And
I'm not going to deny that, but again, you have Josh Allen. That's the cheat code. You're right. Like, look, I think a lot of those guys, like when the Colts have been picking they haven't been great really in the last couple of years. They've been picking high, so you get better talent. The Chiefs, we know the Chiefs. They got healthy now at the wide receiver position, but that's what happens. But yeah, I think the roster definitely has its
Rashee
issues.
Rice made a big difference. Yeah, you could just see it
No,
early. I mean, he had 7 catches, 2 touchdowns, like
I'll
69 yards. But I don't know, that offense just looked like it. And
I'll say
granted,
that.
it was the Raiders in Kansas City at Arrowhead. I get it, but
Yeah, I'll say this: like if you're Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, you obviously it would be a tougher pill to swallow if the Chiefs make a run and like all their weapons are clicking, because that's what anyone like myself has wanted. Like wide receivers. They have like 4 wide receivers who like they've drafted high. They got some
yeah.
guys on the scrap heap. They got Kelsey. They got a savant in Andy Reid with the X's and O's. And if they go far, the wide receiver train people are going to be like, sweet dude, like you had to go and buy 17 defensive linemen for your dumb defensive line rotation of doom. And I think that's like when you look at that, that's how that team matches up. That's like the you don't want, because last year, even though the Chiefs went to this, to the Super Bowl, they did it with like, I don't want to say guts, but that was kind of it. Like they did it with like a lot of guts. No one was like kicking ass at all. They didn't have all their wide receiver. They didn't have Rice back, and now he's back, and the speed is there. So
Let me ask you a quick question. I would consider you somewhat of a historian. Like when it comes to the Bills and NFL stuff, you're really good at remembering things from the past. I am absolutely terrible at it.
terrible.
I kind of
Yes.
feel like every week when you do a Flushmore that's football related anyway, I kind of get a little bit of a history lesson from you. But anyway, one thing we don't talk about often, at least we have in this season, and maybe it's because they started out really shitty, but you've thought about this. You've talked about it previously in the show. Nobody's ever, besides the Bills, went to 4 straight Super Bowls. Yeah, well, Kansas City's in position to
To do that.
do
And
that, and that's
and the
kind of
be-
like the one thing about that era that you could always people can, no matter what you say about, they say they choked, they gagged. The Buffalo Bills lost 4 straight Super
yeah,
Bowls.
no.
Well, the Buffalo Bills, no one has ever went to 4 straight Super Bowls ever besides the Buffalo Bills. Kind of feels like after a really slow Chiefs start where they were 0-2, they lost to Jacksonville a couple weeks ago. I'm starting to think about that again. Like, is that historic Buffalo Bills achievement in serious jeopardy right now? I think it is, because I think the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC right now.
It's there. I mean, it could definitely be there, but there's still a lot of game left.
Sure,
And
100%, sure.
I hate having like these over the top declarations of like this team's the best team, because I feel like we change our minds. Like I thought the Bills were the best team like 2 weeks ago, and now we're like talking, and now we're like realistically or whatever you want to call it, saying that they could be out of that realm. I need more evidence
That's fair.
aside from that before I could start like declaring this team's the best team or that team's the best team. Like the beauty part of it, or if you want to call it beauty, is that we know what's wrong with the Bills. Like we know what needs to be fixed. There is no mystery. Whether it's trade additions, whatever, or what they have to do better on a game to game, operation. So,
Let me ask you a
you know,
question here, because there's a
sure.
lot of comments in the chat and they're not wrong. Like Mike Carlise will just point out the Rams were 1-5 after week 7 last year.
Yeah.
Were they? I don't remember them being
They were
that bad.
terrible
Maybe they
at
were,
the
though.
start,
They
yeah.
were terrible, but yeah, they came back. They should have beat Philly in the playoffs. So I get that point. And there's been other comments that are, very fair in saying it's early. Let's relax. Let's not overreact.
No.
My question for you is, between Twitter, between Blue Sky, between Facebook, whatever you're looking at, have you been surprised by how much negativity there's been from Bills fans about this team? The panic level that you're seeing from fans. I don't know how to explain it properly. I've just seen a lot. It feels like you would think the Bills were 2-4 right now at the bye, going by a lot of fan comments that I've seen. Now, this is a team that has been 4-2 and has lost 2 in a row for the last 5 years. So this is, nothing new, but you could also say that there's things about this team that are different than some of the other past editions. So I get both sides of the fence, but have you noticed, and if you have, are you surprised at how much kind of like perceived negativity there is right now? Like fans seem to be really down on the Buffalo Bills, almost like it's over for them.
Well, I don't. It really depends where you get your information from or what narrative story you want to tell. To be honest with you,
Okay.
I was listening to Podfather's The Bill Squad a couple days ago, and I like their show. But and then towards the end of the show, Jeremy was talking about he brought up how there are fans who are like it's just a lull, and he kind of went
Mhm.
off a little bit on it. So he was talking about the ones who are I would term as the most optimistic fans who are like it's just a lull, don't worry. And
Yeah.
now you're talking, and then he went on. He talked about like, look, and he made a point of like, the Bills aren't the Chiefs where you could just chalk it up to it's uninteresting and they're gonna pull it through. Like we talked about how like NBA teams always do that, where they coast through the regular season and then the Warriors will win the title. When they're like the fifth seed or something like that because they
Mhm.
get. But the Bills haven't done any of that. But he made his point by saying people were doing that, and your point is everyone's being super negative. I don't know. I have a kid. Not to bore you to death here, but I have a kid. I'm not on social media as much as I used to be. So I don't. I do feel like from the podcasts I've listened to, it's definitely been more on the negative side. But what do you expect? They lost 2 in a row. But it's probably in between that. It's hard. You're between a rock and a hard place. I get the naysayers being like, "What the heck is going on?" a little bit, but I also get the guys who are like, "Chill, relax." They've done this before the Bills with their little, 3-2 start last year, and and then all of a sudden they roll off like 7 wins in a row, and then there's a bunch of history to that. So it's I can't fault people for being negative. I can't fault people for being too positive. I will say this: the stakes have never been higher than they have been. Like every year, this is Josh Allen's last year in his 20s. He's going
Yeah.
to be 30 next year. He's going into his 30s. He's going to be in like that 30 range, which means he'll be done by the time that he's not probably making it to 40. I don't think.
Not the
And
way
that's
he plays. I mean, he plays a different
I know, yeah,
brand
but
of
my
football.
point is, he's on the other side of his career. Is going to be, and I
Sure.
think the pressure every year you don't win a Super Bowl or you don't get to the Super Bowl, everyone's gripping that bat more like a baseball bat when you're like wanting to get this hit and you're getting more nervous and you're getting tighter because you're like the clock is ticking because it will come to an end where he will walk off into the sunset and I think that's there. And every year that we've passed, there's more pressure than the year before, in my opinion. There's more because it's just like you're down the road. If they won a Super Bowl already, I'd be like, things are gonna be fine. Who
Yeah,
cares?
playing with house money, man.
I'd
I
be
feel like I'm not worried.
I would be drunk and probably not even watching the games and being like, "Who cares? I'm going to celebrate the Super Bowl 2002 from 3 years ago."
Let me ask you one more question. Then we're going to take a break. Then we're going to get into some Bills bye-week hard truths. I feel like that we've learned um, so far. And I will say, like I did say, ask you when I asked the question about the negativity, social media. Generally speaking, I think social media is a very loud minority of what people think in real life. I want to point that out there, generally speaking. But I will say this week, the times I've been out, friends that I have when I'm out at places and things like that, the people I hear from them aren't really on social media. It's kind of been a lot of the same with them too. I think there is a sense of panic right now amongst Bills fans because I think the mistakes that they're making, and we'll get into them more specifically in a few. There's a lot of cause for concern. I think there's some thin spots on this roster. The question that I wanted to ask you, I talked about this with Perino on the show on Friday. I want to ask you the same question. Josh Allen, I don't know if you saw the pregame interview last Monday. I've seen a lot of fans bitching about it, or just generally speaking, talking about Josh Allen's passion. Maybe like it's not there. Like he said, I'm paraphrasing. Help me out in the live chat if you know exactly what I'm talking about. But like he's changed. He's not. Hey, like Haley Steinfeld taught Josh. Josh said that he's
Oh,
more
you're
more.
talking about Batavia Jobbers thing when he
I'm
said
talking
like,
about a lot of
yeah.
people. A lot of
Well,
people have
he
been
put it
saying
out
that
there. I
that he's
don't know.
more than just a football player. That he doesn't know if they're going to win a Super Bowl. He's good. I don't know. I don't want to paraphrase and put words in Josh's mouth. But long story short, there's people out there, a lot of people, quite frankly, that are starting to suggest that
Are they
the
real
fire
people though, or are they just
the fire's not
bots?
burning the way it
Are they
used to because
bots?
now he's married to the Hollywood celebrity
Oh
wife.
God,
He's
yeah.
on a million commercials. Listen, I think it's a stupid take. I think it's one of the dumbest things I've ever
But
heard
I
in my
don't. But
life.
the only person that is like the only guy I saw that said that was your boy Batavia Jobber, and that's it. No one that I think that I put stock in, a real person with photos and a real like cares, like a bot or Bills fan 75-25-17. Those people are always gonna hate. But I'll play devil's advocate, and this is stuff I heard about this crap with Ryan Miller when Ryan Miller was here and he married Noreen DeWolf, whatever the heck her name was. And
You're
yeah,
wrong about one thing, though, Joe. I'll finish your take, but you're wrong about one thing. It's not just bots. I'm telling you now, I've heard it from people. I've heard it from people in real life. I've getting
South
questions.
Buffalo people don't count. Like they don't
Well, I'm just
count in your
saying,
area.
it's been a handful of, not a lot, not a majority, a loud minority, we'll call it. But there are people questioning Josh Allen if his desire is the same now. If he's the same fiery, I will go walk through a fire to win a football game as he was a few years ago because life's different now. I think it's an idiot take, but go ahead about the Ryan Miller thing. I know where you were
But
going.
no, I'm just saying, like Ryan Miller, there were people like idiots on Twitter or talk shows who were all like thought he was going to get traded and move to Hollywood, all that sort of stuff. Look, there are players in this league that have won Super Bowls with Hollywood celebrity wives. Travis Kelce, has been dating Taylor Swift for a couple years now, and he's got 2 Super Bowls, I think, since they've been dating. The best player of all time, Tom Brady, married Giselle and won like 6 Super Bowls afterwards. So, like, no, it's a stupid.
Josh Allen threw for 261 yards in a quarter 5 weeks ago.
No,
You know what I mean? He brought him to the AFC Championship when he was engaged last year.
It's just trolls trying to get some hits on their Substack. My whole thing is this. Look, Josh Allen needs weapons. And if there's anything you could see today, like we went through it pretty quickly, and the one thing we're talking about is weapons. And like some of these teams have those, like the Chiefs have them.
Yeah.
The Colts even have some good, like they got that tight end who's like a monster.
Tyler Warren's great tight end. They got a good Pittman's a good receiver. They got Jonathan Taylor.
It would be nice if your boy Kincaid was like him at all, but he's not because
Well, let's save that thought. Save that thought.
Well, I know. I already saw the rundown there, buddy.
Well, I disagree with you. I think that's a terrible take. So on that note, on the video side, we're going to be back in like literally 5 seconds here on the video side. Good God, I hate that sound. That's not going to happen again. What was that? I hit the wrong button. I hit the wrong button. It was supposed to be the Philly jingle.
I thought I was going to outer space with that, like the Star Trek.
That was supposed to be a sound effect. I hit the wrong button. It's supposed to be, the Sunny and Philly style jingle.
I think my cat took a dump too in the litter box across. It stinks in here now, and it's your fault.
Let's get into what I consider anyway. Maybe you disagree, and it sounds like we're about to disagree here right off the bat. But my biggest Bills bye week truce. All right, so they played 6 games. We're through 7 weeks now of the season. These aren't necessarily in order of most important, but I think the truth is this offense absolutely positively needs Dalton Kincaid to be on the football field. I saw a stat. Well, he didn't play Monday, and we saw how much the offense struggled. And him not being out there, I think, was a significant reason. Before that game, where he was hurt, no Bleak didn't play. He was second behind Tyler Warren, and we talked about before the break, in receiving yards for tight end. And every turnover that the Bills have this season, that Josh Allen has this season, every turnover has been when Dalton Kincaid's not on the field. Every one. Every turnover they've had. They do have 0 turnovers this year when Dalton Kincaid is on the football field. Every turnover has been with him off the field. I think he's been great. I think, minus James Cook, I think Dalton Kincaid has been the second best player by a significant margin on the Bills' offense. You predicted this, by the way. If you big dummy, when we go back to our preseason predictions, you said that he was going to be good, and I actually didn't pick him, but he's been great. This is one of the few positives, I think, right now about my bye week truces. I think Dalton Kincaid is an essential part of this offense, and I think he's proven himself to be a legitimate weapon for Josh Allen.
I agree. He's been really good this year. But here's my thing, because you're putting a lot of eggs in his basket about the importance. Mm-hmm. How did Dalton Kincaid do last year? And how did the Bills' offense do last year? Dalton Kincaid was invisible last year. Got hurt.
Not good.
Not good. The offense still trucked.
Yep.
Why?
Because
Like,
everybody was eating and it was effective last year.
yeah, and now it's not. And there's no X's and O's reason for it. So I can't sit there and go, oh man, it's because Dalton Kincaid was out. That's why they struggle against the Falcons. He was out last year and he didn't do much, to be honest with you. And they still made a lot of plays. I'm going to tell you this, and this is my hot take, and you can piss off if you don't like it. I think they miss Amari Cooper. And and here's why. Let me explain the history of Amari Cooper when he got here.
Okay.
The Bills got him right after the Jets game. They were 4-2. They got him. They scored with him 30 points in every game except the New England game in Buffalo for the regular season. Over 30 each game with him.
Mm-hmm.
When he first started, myself included, the content bros, go look at your tweets during that first month that he was here. It was, hey, look at him. He's taking the attention away, and other guys are opening up, like Shakir, or at times we had Keon Coleman as inconsistencies, or running backs, Ty Johnson. That's what having a good wide receiver is about. He takes away, he may not get those numbers, but he's taking attention away. They don't have that. Now, at the end of the season, I think what happened was Cooper hit a wall. He got hurt. They were kind of using him weirdly, like with wide receiver screens. That's not his game. And I think they missed that guy more so than, if Dalton Kincaid's on the field, because that's what clicked last year. That's what clicked for the offense when he came. And I feel like a lot of people, when he was here, they said that, he's taking away, like he's taking attention away. And then when he left, it was all like, well, he was a bum. It didn't work at all. And I was like, well, it didn't work well in the playoffs. I'll admit that, but it worked the first month before he got hurt. Like, that was this. Go see your old tweets. Go listen to our podcast, like after like 3 or 4 games when he got here, and the attention, the offense was succinct. That's what they miss more. That's the difference to me from last year to this year. They missed that outside presence because he was an outside guy, right? I'm not. I know. I'm not film bro.
Yeah,
here.
he was for the most part. He didn't play that much though, but yes.
No, he did play. He missed like 3 games.
No, I'm talking about his snap count percentage wasn't all that high last year. It's not like he was on the field 80% of the time.
But that's the thing. Like, you're talking like, Kincaid's been the best weapon, but it's like, who's he comparing it to? There's no other guys here. Everyone is kind of like, eh. Like, I saw you and Mafia Matt were kissing, Jordan Palmer's ass. I'm like, dude, or
Joshua Palmer,
whatever his name is, Jordan, Jesse Palmer, whatever. He had like one good catch in for the season. You guys can't wait to marry this guy. Like, that's a problem right now. People are so desperate to find that a stud wide receiver. It's not in this offense. The offense, I've seen the Joe Brady offense enough. No one becomes a stud in this offense. It's all a bunch of dudes. That's it. There's not going to be a stud, a guy you're going to marry. It's none of that. They're all a bunch of dudes. That's it. Dude.
It's going to kind of go to this next point, and then I'm going to follow it up with a question for you.
Sure.
Keep that thought in your head about just a dude once they get to Buffalo with Joe Brady, okay? To wrap up Dalton Kincaid, I'm not saying the guy is as important as Justin Jefferson. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just telling you that he's been good. He was lousy last year. He was good his rookie year. This year, he has been solid, man. The target percentage here, somebody asked in the chat, which is ironic, too, because they've asked, how much has he played this year? I was looking it up while you were yapping. He's 49% of the snaps he's played this year, which is actually the lowest of his career. So he's only playing half the snaps when he's out there. But good things are happening when they're out there.
I remember we had this epiphany last year because we were still trying to figure out who should be the guys on this field. They were still the Curtis Samuel, your boy Matt Collins. And I remember at one point I said they need to just roll with Kincaid, Coleman, Cooper, and Shakir and stop with this, like, let's get this package out and get with that package out. And they didn't listen to me. Part of it was people got hurt, like Keon got hurt and Cooper got hurt, and your boy Hollins became a cult hero. But it's impossible to really sit here with the way the wide receivers and tight ends are and go, this guy's the most important guy to Josh Allen. It's just hard because you just said it. They take guys off the field for 50% of the snaps. Kincaid should be playing like 80%, but they can't because they have to get the killer's guy on there.
I predict after the bye, I think you're going to see a much more uptick in Dalton Kincaid. Someone in live chat, they don't throw to him nearly enough. I agree. I think that's going to change. Let's go to the receiver, though, because the truth that I've learned through 7 weeks is Keon Coleman is nothing more than an okay receiver. I think he's a little more than Kelvin Benjamin that you called him after last game. But
Hold on before you go on. My whole thing about Kelvin Benjamin was not like he's Kelvin Benjamin at the end of his career. I think his skill sets are like Kelvin Benjamin, where you think he's a beefy guy and he should be able to push off and grab anything in the air, and he doesn't. He's not like that. That's how Kelvin Benjamin was. Kelvin was a good route runner, but he wasn't a guy that, I'm going to throw the fade past him. He's going to catch it over a guy. It wasn't like his game. That's why I said, that's what I meant. I didn't mean like, he's dead. Like Kelvin Benjamin was terrible at the end.
All right,
anyway,
well, put it to you this way. I said this last week, but I have to say it again. He is spotty. Keon Coleman is a spotty receiver. Again, Baltimore, incredible game. Last year, he had a couple great games in Seattle against the Titans, but he has 3-4 games a year where you're like, man, this is the guy. I see why Brandon Beane took him over Lamb McConkey. I see why he was willing to lose Xavier Worthy, because this is the guy. You see that 3-4 times a year. The rest of the games, though, it's like, how many times has this guy had 3 catches for 21 yards or 4 catches for 38 yards? You know what I mean? It's maddening. And all summer long, and again, I gotta hate giving you freaking credit, but all summer long, the probably the number one story of Bills camp was how incredible Keon Coleman looked, and that he was going to take that next step. Well, we're 6 games in, and he looks exactly like Keon Coleman that I saw last year. Sometimes good, and then he disappears. Right down to the discipline issue, where he got benched to start a football game because of some sort of internal discipline issue. I think Keon Coleman is starting to get frustrated with the criticism, quite frankly. I think he's hearing the noise. I think he's getting frustrated, and maybe it's not all his fault. Maybe he's playing out of position some, but if he is, because a lot of people, I keep hearing this. Matt was talking about it. I've heard a lot of other people talk about it. He could be a big slot. Well, you drafted a big slot in the first round. His name's Dalton Kincaid. And then you gave a big extension to a typical prototype slot in Khalil Shakir. So then what the hell are we doing here? The Bills want him to be an ex-receiver. I don't think he's a boundary, consistently good, get open receiver. And I don't think it's going to change, man. I really don't. I think the Bills have a problem if they're going to put a lot of trust on Keon. If they think Keon Coleman's going to be anything more than the 3rd or 4th best receiver on this team, I think the Bills got a big problem going forward, too.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been great, but I don't think anyone has really been great in the wide receiver room.
Yeah, but not everyone was a second-round pick who they moved heaven and on earth to go get.
Well, they didn't move heaven on earth to get.
Well,
they traded down.
They made big decisions, I should say. All right, it's easy to go sign Josh Palmer and give him money or Curtis Samuel money. They made a big draft capital investment in Keon Coleman, and there were lots of other guys they could have taken.
I think every wide receiver on this team should be frustrated. Like you said, like Keon's frustrated with, like, he's hearing it. He's probably also frustrated with he's not getting the ball enough. No one is getting the ball.
He's not open. Why should he get the football? It feels like a wasted rep to throw him the football half the time right now.
Sure. He's probably the lower end, but I think everyone else is lower end. Shakir hasn't done much this year. Like, he doesn't get involved in the offense all that much. You know, his numbers aren't great.
He catches the ball, though, when it gets thrown.
He does catch the ball, sure. I mean, but I do feel like, yes, Keon does deserve crap, but I think he's getting way more than a lot of other guys. Like, I don't know what, like, what about Moore? Like, he hasn't played at all. And
who gives a shit about him?
What do you mean? Who gives a shit about him? You hyped him up in the preseason.
Yeah, he could be a good 4th receiver. I had expectations that Keon Coleman was going to be a consistently good 5-catch, 65, 70-yard per game type receiver. Keon Coleman is 2024 Keon Coleman all over again. Sometimes it's good, other times it's irrelevant. And I don't think it's because, if he's frustrated, it's because he's not playing better. I don't think it's because Josh Allen's out looking at him. He's not open, man. The guy can't get open.
Isn't it supposed to be like a scheme thing? Like, he got open in the Ravens game somehow. Okay, I still think it's a scheme thing, and I think this offense, it's not a wide receiver friendly offense. It's just because every wide receiver.
Should the Bills trade for a receiver then?
Yes, I said that last week. I know you don't remember anything. What do you mean? What's the point? You can have more weapons. You don't have to have treat the wide receiver room like you treat the defensive line room. It has 75 guys in there.
Let's say they get Chris Olave or the other Saints receiver, Jordan Addison. Are they going to come and be the same receivers with Buffalo that they are with the Saints, with the Vikings? Because you're saying that pretty much every receiver here, I don't know, the system's broke or.
I'm just saying, like, look, if you're going to complain about Keon Coleman, I get that. Complain about him. But all the other wide receivers aren't doing much for me. They're just not. Look at the yardage. Look at the stats. They're just not.
I guess
I'm sorry, they're not.
I just have different expectations than
No,
I guess
you,
than you
everyone,
with these guys.
everyone. I think they're. I get what you're saying. Like Keon Coleman was supposed to be that. I think a lot of media guys have had it in for Keon Coleman, and I'm not saying they're wrong. I think they should be critical of him, but I think there's a little bit more of that. I go back to last year when they tried to make him kind of into like a funny character with his yellow jacket, and he got pissed off when they tried to like say like, "Are you going to be serious?" And his agent started talking shit on Twitter, and I think a lot of them do see that. I also heard some rumblings, and I know you have too. You won't admit it, that they're not exactly high on him in the front office or the coaching staff. And once you hear that, once you see that or hear about that, that's when the blood comes out. That's when everyone's like, okay, let's go after that guy. I'm here to tell you, yes, you should go after him, but I think the whole wide receiver room as a whole is underperformed. All of them are. You're talking about your boy Palmer. Oh, he needs to come back. He's the key. He had one catch for the season that's been good. And you got him on the Hall of Fame.
No, I don't.
You do have him on the Hall of Fame.
No, I don't.
You got him on the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame. Okay, I'm kidding about the Hall of Fame. I'm
listen,
exaggerating.
I'm trying to use an example where my expectations for other players are different. Like, to use the Sabres for an example, you got the forward room, who are players that are well-known that even the casual fan would know. Shaq Thompson,
Sure.
Alex Tuck. That's about it with the freaking Sabres. Like, your expectation for Peyton Krebs is not to be as good as Alex Tuck or Tage Thompson.
Okay.
I don't expect Curtis Samuel or Elijah Moore. By the way, AJ Sapolsky had a really good comment in the live chat. He said Elijah Moore didn't have a quarterback problem. Moore was the problem. Meaning, we heard that, by the way, last year with Curtis Samuel, too. Oh, these guys never play with a real quarterback. Well, they are playing with a real quarterback now, and they're still not doing shit.
Well, isn't that on the offense then, the coordinator? If
sure.
If
to an
Darnold
extent.
can get, if whoever the heck, Teddy Bridgewater can get Curtis Samuel the ball, why can't our OC or Josh Allen figure that out?
In Curtis Samuel's case, is because the dude don't play football. He's watching the games with you and I.
Well, yeah, they healthy scratch him. They don't know what they're doing at the wide receiver room. They just don't.
I agree. I'm not fighting. I'm not pushing back on that. I think you're 100% right. It's deeper than Keon Coleman. I'm not saying the receiving room is good except for Keon Coleman. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying Keon Coleman is part of the problem. He's not part of the solution to me.
Yes, he's a second rounder. I get it. Whereas Shakir's a fifth rounder, even though he did sign an extension. Elijah Moore is a guy they found in free agency. Who else? It's just a piss poor wide receiver.
Tyrell Shavers.
Oh, God, your boy, the all camp.
I said it did not go over well in certain circles, too. By the way, I said last week, I said I could cut Tyrell Shavers tomorrow. I like Tyrell Shavers. He's a good story. I'm glad he made the team. I root for him. I hope he's successful. What has he done? He's a poor man's Matt Collins.
New beer, by the
another
way.
beer. See, I'm making you drink other beers. Listen, I said it. Tyrell Shavers, to me, is a poor man's version of Matt Collins. He blocks, but not as well as Matt Collins. He plays special teams, but not as well as Matt Collins. He makes special catches, but his was in preseason. Matt Collins made a couple great catches in the regular season. He's been a poor man's version of Matt Collins right now.
Can I ask you this?
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit. I'm going a little bit not off topic, but a little bit away. I was thinking about this today. Brandon Beane.
The Matt Collins funeral. Go ahead.
Yeah, we got to do that one day. Because Pat can't go off a podcast.
I love when regulars can remember stuff like that. Go ahead.
Outside of Josh Allen, has there been a contract that Brandon Beane has given an extension to a homegrown guy?
Yeah,
that has outperformed his contract extension. I think of the Tage Thompson contract. We're going to talk hockey. Think about him. Like, he got $7 million a year when he just scored 30 goals, which seemed like a lot, and then he overperformed it very easily.
Guys on the roster currently?
Yeah, or even in history. Like, think about that. Like, think about
Micah Hyde and Poyer early on.
Okay, but Micah Hyde, they weren't homegrown guys. They were guys they signed.
James Cook, maybe, so far. James Cook looks like he will be. It's hard to say after a less than a half a season, but right now, James Cook looks like a bargain. That might be it, though, as far as I can think of in my head.
Yeah, like I could go through them. Like, Tre White got hurt. I mean, it wasn't his fault, but he got hurt. Matt Milano got hurt, like, right away. Probably maybe Deion Dawkins when he got his first extension. I think it was 2021. He got his first extension,
Mike
maybe. But I
Carliso
would.
said Spencer Brown in the live chat. That's not a
That's
bad
a
one.
fair one.
He's getting
That's
good buck,
fair.
but I mean, he's been a top 5,
But like,
I'd say, right tackle so
yeah,
far.
I mean, Dalton Kincaid has been a disaster. Like, or not Dalton Kincaid. I'm sorry, Dawson Knox has been a disaster since he got his deal. You
Yeah.
can even say like Stephon Diggs when he got his second deal, it didn't work out because he couldn't wait to get out of here, and that kind of blew up. I mean, he was still good, but that blew up. But like, sometimes I think this GM, I think the GM has a bit of an ego, and I think he cannot wait to extend his guys and go, look, I extended these guys, Terry. Look at how good I'm doing with these guys. I developed them. Like Terrell Bernard, he has one. What did they sent him? Like he had one good season last year. He wasn't that great. He was okay.
I agree.
But and then he's like, we got to extend him. We got to extend him.
And he's been terrible this season.
Yeah, and I just feel like, and then you go back to the wide receiver thing with him being angry at Jeremy White and then going on the victory tour afterwards where he was on, your boys, meatheads and the boys in the bus or whatever the hell that show's called, talking shit. And it's just like, I think he's an egomaniac that he cannot wait to extend these guys so he can show like the coaching and everyone. Like, look at these guys. The one guy who's been good, I saw him, he got an interception today, Tremaine Edmonds. He's been good. He's been good, I think, for the Bears, but a lot of these extensions, they haven't overachieved. It's either been meh or it's been kind of blah, aside for Josh Allen. Like, obviously, Josh, no shit. Like,
No,
but
that's reasonable. That's fair. A lot of these takes I kind of feel like when we're done with this exercise, a lot of it kind of leads back to that would be the big point with Brandon Beane. One more thing about Keon Coleman, then we got to move on. But I'm going to say this. I think maybe if Keon was on a different team in a different role, it might be a different outcome for him. I still am baffled a year and a half later where throughout Josh Allen's entire career, when did he play his best football? He would play his best football when he was throwing to Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley and John Brown and Emmanuel Sanders. These guys who were really good at getting separation off the line of scrimmage, getting open quick, and Josh Allen finding them quick. That's where he had his best success. I love Gabe Davis. He's made some big plays for the Bills throughout his years. But some of Josh's worst football would be when he would force balls in to Gabe Davis. And what was the beef with Gabe Davis besides inconsistent hands? Kind of sounds like Keon Coleman. Keon makes great catches and drops balls right in his hands. Also, Gabe Davis, big plays down the field. What was the other problem? He ain't ever getting open. What's Keon Coleman's problem? He ain't ever getting open. It's kind of like the same deal all over again. And I go back to the draft. Like, what was your strategy at the time? Why were you so insistent on this prototype guy? They wanted a big, strong, contested catch, boundary X receiver instead of going and getting a guy who could get open. And it just doesn't make sense. Now, going back to Brandon Beane, because so far it hasn't worked. So this is where he does deserve even more criticism. Curtis Samuel last year pays him a 3-year contract, great money. He's supposed to be that separator, that get open guy, stretch the field. Hasn't been on the field enough to work out. Josh Palmer, we've seen signs. He did lead the Bills in receiving yards. It was either the first or the second week. He was off to a great start in Atlanta, and then unfortunately he got hurt. He's probably going to miss, I'd say, 2 to 4 weeks with the ankle.
Palmer, your boy, he gets his one good catch. Okay,
he's had more than one good catch. Stop with that dumb. That's a dumb take.
Oh, he has. What the fuck? Where's Tooch? Tooch, tell me his stats before he got hurt. You're acting like he had a good game against the Jets. He had 1 or 2 catches. That's the thing. You're putting too much on you because I'm telling you, you fall in love with any wide receiver.
He had 5 catches for 61 yards against the Ravens. That was a good game, and he was at 60 yards in the first quarter against Atlanta. He's been fine.
Outside of 6 games, you got him going to the whatever.
Look, I'm sick of these player. Anyway, my whole point
here's the bottom line. No, here's my point. I'm sick of your points. You got enough. You got 6 shows a week. You can give me a point. The point in all this is this: the offense has struggled because after a while, defenses catch up, and as an offense, you have to add new pieces, new ingredients to that formula. That's the problem right now. It's the same offense as it was last year. Basically, in terms 100%. Of the skill guys.
I agree with that.
That's what I'm saying. And teams have caught up. You should have addressed getting a better wide receivers in the offseason. You didn't because you wanted to add 75 defensive linemen. You wanted to add grass to the new stadium. All that shit. This is the problem. You just haven't figured that out yet. And I think what you've seen a little bit, and again, well, we could be playing this back in 5 weeks, being like, "You're stupid idiots, we're dumbasses," and they go on a run. But I do believe that until that you have to add a new spice to your recipe. Last year, that spice was Amari Cooper. That's what took them off. I'm telling you, that's what we all thought, and then everyone changed their mind when he was shit down the stretch, and then he left, and we were like, fuck him, he sucked anyway. But like, I think that's what you need.
Let me point out what I think Brandon Beane's mindset has been to this point. And so we're clear, I agree with you. But here's my thinking with Brandon Beane. Last year, he gave Curtis Samuel a big contract, right? Well, not a huge contract, but a notable contract. It was a big-ish contract, okay? Then you used a second round, your first overall pick, on a wide receiver. Then you give Josh Palmer $10 million a year this offseason. Then you re-sign Khalil Shakir, and you give him, 13 to 15 million, whatever the hell he's making. Top 40 money somewhere. Now, again, not a massive deal, but a significant deal. And you use a first-round pick on Dalton Kincaid, who is allegedly kind of more, not allegedly, he's becoming that. He's becoming more of a big slot than your traditional tight end. So in his mind, he's invested a lot in the position. I'm not saying he shouldn't. Let's get to a couple other things, because otherwise we'll keep going. Because it's Joe Brady and Brandon Beane. We could do a whole show just talking about no one else but them two. I mentioned James Cook. I'm just going to gloss over this. The only take I have, the only truth I have with James Cook, we all know he's good, is that last year, before the contract, there was a lot of, the three-headed monster, running back by committee. Mm-hmm. Ray Davis could be just as good, trade him, blah, 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 blah. James Cook is head and shoulders above Ty Johnson and Ray Davis. Now, I think both Cook and Ty Johnson are being misused, especially in the passing game, and it's been annoying. Ty Johnson's got 2 catches for 7 yards this year. That's a joke. But
who cares? Why do we need Ty Johnson to have catches?
What do you mean, who cares?
Who cares? James Cook should have all these catches. Why was James Cook only playing 53% of the snaps last week against the Falcons?
I don't know,
That's a
man.
joke. That's a joke.
That's a joke.
That's my biggest issue. I'm sorry. I know you wanted to blow Cook and say how great he was. He is. He's great. One of my bigger issues with your boy Brady is he has to have everyone eats, which means everyone has to have a snap count. We got to put this guy on the field. We got to put that guy on the field. Stop doing that. Put your 11 best guys on the field and do that. Enough.
Ty Johnson's a good pass catching running back. Dude,
so
do you remember? Dude, you're a historian. You can't remember last year?
Yes, he was great. Like Larry Centers-esque. No, James Cook had a 50-yard catch against the Ravens. Like, use him more in the passing game.
Use them both more in the passing game. Their teams are blitzing them. Get them out
running
there.
Backs on the field. Yes, go ahead.
Well, no, I'm telling you that my point is that he's head and shoulders way better than either running back. My secondary point is kind of a Joe Brady thing. You got to get these running backs more involved in the passing game. Ray Davis caught a ball and scored a touchdown. That was one of the few good plays they did on offense. Get the fucking running backs more involved. That's the first time I've swore this entire podcast, by the way, because now I'm annoyed. Get the running backs involved in the passing game. It is so predictable. It's maddeningly predictable what they're doing right now. Get the running backs involved.
We're going back. I want you to pull up Tuch's stats right here. Palmer's stats up to injury, 14 catches for 234 yards. And you got him going to the Josh Allen Hall of Fame.
I do not have him going to the Hall of Fame. I simply think he's a good player. I think he's a good player.
Kissing his ass.
That's all I'm saying.
Great. Next. What's next on the topic?
I wish Keon Coleman had those stats right now. Let's put it that way, okay? Or if be beyond.
He has more catches than that.
He had 8 catches for 112 yards in one game. He's had 120 yards.
You're gonna attack him, but you're gonna say Palmer's a missing link. You can attack it. Everyone should be attacked. Every wide receiver should be attacked. Is my thing. You just want to attack Keon. That's all. Fine. You should attack everyone. Everyone deserves to be attacked.
Let's talk. Everyone. All right, so we've
all
pretty
the
much
skill
said
guys. The only person who doesn't need to be attacked is Dalton Kincaid and Cook when it comes to the skill guys.
Weren't you criticizing, being critical of Dalton Kincaid like 20 minutes ago?
No, because you were saying like it's because of him like the offense fluttered, and I'm like, well, he wasn't do dick last year, and the offense was fine because they didn't do enough
this year. The offense is turning the ball over and not scoring when he's not on the field.
Great. Okay,
so. Fine. There's that.
He's turnover. I know you hate turnovers. You're like, oh my God, Josh threw a turnover. Fine, great. He had 37 touchdowns one year and 18 interceptions. It was a great time to be a fan.
Can we this is Josh Palmer thing. We can keep going on forever.
Yeah.
Josh Palmer was even the third best receiver on the Chargers. You're acting like I'm wearing a fucking Josh Palmer jersey doing this podcast or something.
You are. I heard your podcast with Mafia Matt. Mafia Matt put him over, and then you were like, "I'm going to steal that rub and that heat." From
what
him.
he said, what Mafia Matt said, and he's 100% right, is that Josh Palmer was that weapon on his way to a big game against Atlanta. He had 2 catches for 60 yards and he got hurt. He didn't say Josh Palmer's freaking Jamar Chase. So stop with that shit. Let's get to the defense.
You got everyone going to the Hall of Fame. Whatever you listen to Mafia Matt and Podfather and Bruce All Lazy, and you're like, they're all great. I agree. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Kind of. Go ahead.
Kind of. I mean, well, we should probably talk a little bit of defense anyway. I think a Bill's
I got another hot
truth.
Take. Go ahead with your truth. Sorry, sir.
What kind of take is it?
I'm going back. You know what? I said this last week. I want someone. Hold on. Who's in the chat? Okay, look. Ralph Wilson Jr. Sr., whatever your name is. The next time the Bill Squad have a podcast, I want you to go in their chat and ask about Rasul Douglas and if they miss Rasul Douglas. I am telling you, they missed Douglas from last year. The last post-game show we did, you said you took a shit on him and you were like, oh, he's been like Tre White was, which is completely crap. I do not remember one time last year going into a post-game going, you know what? That damn Douglas cost us that game. We didn't do any of that, ever. He didn't get interceptions, but you know what? I think he was a key part of that defense of the secondary last year. What's the difference, Pat, in the back seven from last year? Personnel-wise, nothing. Matt Milano wasn't playing last year.
DeMar Hamlin?
Yeah, your boy. Yeah. Like last year, we were complaining about DeMar Hamlin, it felt like. But like in terms of last year, Matt Milano was gone. You had Bernard, you had Williams as your linebackers, and your secondary was basically the same, except Douglas was in for Tre White. And I'm telling you, sometimes the stats don't show you how good you are. And I think that's with Douglas. I don't think there were games where I came out of there going, Douglas really got burned. He didn't get any interceptions. And I think he helped Benford out because Benford has not been as the shutdown corner that we all thought he was going to be. I think Douglas did a lot. I think he's done okay with Miami. And
he's not.
Yes, he is. He's done okay.
What is he even playing? I think he might have been a healthy scratch today, or if he wasn't, it's because somebody got hurt. He's been doo-doo. He's booty cheeks, man.
Wait, hold on.
And he was booty cheeks with the Bills last year.
No, he wasn't booty cheeks with the Bills last year. Where is his numbers? Hold on.
Are you telling me right now that the difference between the Bills' defense being acceptable last year and not this year is freaking Rasul Douglas?
You're acting like he was a bum. You're acting like he's a giant bum. He's
Tre White. He's about as useful as Tre White was.
No, he's not. That is crap. That is crap. And he played today. Thank you, everyone in the chat. See, Pat doesn't listen to anyone.
He played today because they probably got 8 injuries at cornerback. Storm Duck. I don't even know. Is that a real name?
So explain to me how the defensive line, which you and I can agree is much better this year than was last year, why has the pass defense been worse this year?
All right. Well,
Taylor Rapp was here last year. He just forgot how to play football.
I guess we're just going to lump everything into one take now, the way you just looped everything here. Yes, well,
Tre White was terrible last year. He was awful. He was bad. They should not have signed him outside if he should have been. Oh, he should have been a practice squad
For
guy.
the second time in this podcast, I feel like you're making me out to be a fan of somebody I'm not. You're making it sound like I'm a Tre White guy. Do you think I'm a Tre White guy? Do you think I think Tre White should be starting?
I know you do, but you hate Rasul Douglas.
I don't think he's any better. I just don't think he's any better. It's bad or it's bad. Which color of bad do you want? Do you want green bad or do you want blue bad? They're both bad.
He did not. Tooch, go back to the archives of last year if you're in the chat. And tell me any podcast that we let off with Douglas stunk and has been bad. There was none of that. There is none of that, Pat.
He was mediocre last year.
Oh, my God.
Here's my Bills truth that I've learned. I wanted to share this with the world, but you won't let me.
Yeah.
Tre White's not good. I kind of feel like we all knew that. And I also feel like this defense has bigger problems than Tre White. We're not. You've mentioned the defensive line. You've mentioned Rasul. You've mentioned Tre White. You haven't mentioned the safeties. I think the Bills' safeties right now might be the worst in the NFL. They might be the worst in the NFL, period. The entire NFL. They might have the worst safety room in the NFL right now. When people are clamoring, you want to talk about old and washed up, Tre White, Rasul Douglas, how about Jordan Poyer? People are clamoring for Jordan Poyer right now. Did you not watch him in his last year in Buffalo? Did you not watch him last year with Miami? The dude can't run. He can't play anymore. He can't run. And
All
people
I'm
are clamoring for him because Taylor Rapp has been that bad. Taylor Rapp might be the worst starting safety in football. Cole Bishop's bad too, but at least Cole Bishop makes a few plays and he's young and you can still, give him a chance, give him more time. You got that with Bishop, but Taylor Rapp, come on, what are we doing? Jordan Poyer, DeMar Hamlin, before he got hurt, he's probably done for the season. That room sucks. Their safety play has killed them this season. It's been the worst in the NFL.
It's because Rasul Douglas isn't there to help the safeties out. I'm kidding. I mean, yeah. Look, you're right, but I just keep going back to they were basically the guys. The safeties were the same guys last year. Outside of obviously Bishop. I mean, but yeah, you're right. You're right. But I'm just. It's just been a disaster, and I'm just telling you, Tre White. We've complained more about Tre White when we complained about Douglas last year.
He's not good, and there's. If Dorian Strong didn't get hurt, we wouldn't be talking about Tre White because Tre White wouldn't be starting anymore. Dorian Strong was on his way to being the starter.
Okay, but he probably I'm not okay. He would have been a sixth rounder.
And Max Hairston. I think the plan was for Tre to start the season, and I think when Max was ready and he showed Sean that he was ready, he was going to take over. Kind of like Dorian Strong was about to do.
I want someone in the chat to read me some Rasul Douglas Pro Football Focus stats from last year. I want to hear how good he was. I'm telling you, he was better last
by
year.
PFF. Tyrell Dodson is one of the best linebackers in the NFL. If you want to go look at PFF,
you gave them $30 a month for like a year. So let's
not no more. I didn't.
Yeah,
I did 27 something. What a ripoff that is. So much money for PFF. It's just that. What a terrible value. But anyway,
Stathead's where it's at, dude. And of course, you didn't use Stathead to bring any stats.
So a truth has been the safety room, and I would argue, and a lot of people are going to disagree. Here's the thing. You think the Bills should trade for a receiver. I think the Bills should trade for a safety. I don't think either is going to happen. I think the Bills are going to trade for a cornerback. I do think the Bills are going to trade for a corner. If Brandon Beane has one trade, I think it's going to be for a corner because you only have Tre White. And there are a lot of people, hey, Jamarcus Ingram, you can't do any worse than Tre White. Put Jamarcus Ingram in. Well, did you watch that game last week? Because you can do worse than Tre White. And Jamarcus Ingram did worse.
Look,
they can't go to him. He cannot play boundary corner for a game. So Max Hairston, I hope the practice window is going to be open Wednesday. We'll find out, but I don't know that you can count on him this year. I think you have to make a trade for a corner. I think Brandon Beane knows that, and I think Brandon Beane will make a trade for a corner. Are you trying to find PFF stat? You still got your mind on Rasul Douglas. I know you. I know you too well. You still got your mind on Rasul Douglas.
No, because I'm reading the comments. Carlisto, your boy Mark Carlisto, has got those stats for you if you want.
What is it?
He said Douglas was ranked 102 out of 116 quarterbacks last year. That's why Football Focus. It's not worth the money. It's not worth the money. You just said it. It's not worth the money. Look. I don't remember us complaining about him. Anyways, no. Look. If they go cornerback, fine. If they go safety, fine. If they go wide receiver, fine. They definitely, whatever they do, they just need to get better players. Like, I think the roster's pretty thin. It's all invested in the defensive line right now because they have to have 75 defensive linemen, and like that's where all the talent is at. It feels like
that's the issue right now. Where I think there's a lot of people out there that just think the Bills roster is not as good top to bottom as the Chiefs, the Colts. Even the Patriots at this point, the Chargers, even though they're struggling or whatever, I just feel like there's a lot of people. Let me give you a perfect example. This truth doesn't seem like a big deal, okay? But to me, this is a Bills bye-week truth, and I think this might be the most telling about Brandon Beane, about maybe Bobby Babbage, maybe Sean McDermott, but I truly believe this. I'm not saying this for a fact or like shock factor. I truly believe this in my heart. Right now, the best linebacker on the Buffalo Bills, Joe, is Shaq Thompson. Shaq Thompson is the best linebacker right now in late October on the Buffalo Bills roster. He has played the best, all right? Maybe I shouldn't say he's the best. The best performing linebacker for the Buffalo Bills this season is Shaq Thompson. It's not Terrell Bernard. It's not Matt Milano before he got hurt. And it's not Dorian Williams. All three of those guys have been hurt too. Shaq Thompson started out the season hurt, but Shaq Thompson has been the best. That is a mixture of 25% compliment to Shaq Thompson because he's been good, and I thought he's played really well. Although he also dropped a fucking pick six that might have ended up winning them the game last Monday in Atlanta
Yeah.
right through his hands, but that's neither here nor there. I think he's been really good, but that's also an indictment. I think Terrell Bernard has been awful, and I mean awful this season. He did have the interception against Tua. He does that. He makes splash plays. He wins that Ravens game for you last year in the playoffs. He does that from time to time. Big play Terrell. But if he ain't big play Terrell, he is wrong gap Terrell. He is missed tackle Terrell. He is, what am I doing in zone? I don't know where the guy is behind me, Terrell. He's been terrible this season, and he misses a lot of tackles. Matt Milano's been pretty good, but that Packers, he's done. I mean, come on. What's he going to come back for 2 more weeks? And then
Yeah, he's done.
you can't count on Matt Milano.
It's just saving for the playoffs at this point. Like,
and
just
then
wait
Dorian Williams, who's athletic and strong and physical and does some things good. He's just not fundamentally sound enough. He makes too many mistakes. Not a good tackler either. The Bills linebackers, we bitch about Tre and the safeties and the receivers aren't good enough and Brady and Sean. The Bills linebackers might be maybe the biggest disappointment on this football team this season, given the fact that Milano and Terrell Bernard, who you just paid, and he's your captain, that I think if money and contract was no factor, I would bench Terrell Bernard. Even if he's good to play next game, I would have Matt Milano and Shaq Thompson as my 2 starting linebackers out there right now. What do you think?
I would not bench Bernard yet, because of I mean he was a captain. You just said it.
No,
His
yeah,
salary, I mean, I would say you got to still figure it out with him. I do feel like I do wonder how much better the linebackers would be if they had a really big fat guy up a defensive tackle. They don't have a fat guy.
What?
That's like they don't have like a run plugging guy who can like take up 2 blocks, like a fat guy. Like they don't. Who's their fat guy?
I think maybe my biggest positive Bills bye-week truth is they got that guy. His name's Deone Walker.
Is he? Would you consider him a fat guy?
Dude, he's one of the biggest guys in the league.
Is he? How big is he? Is he one of the biggest
He's
guys
like 340 pounds or something.
He doesn't look, he needs a different jersey number then. 96 doesn't do justice. It makes him look thin.
He's huge. He's like he leads the team. He's got 7 tackles for a loss.
No,
he's like
I know,
one of the best.
I know that, but sometimes you want a defensive tackle that's going to take up blocks so your linebackers can make plays. That's all I'm saying.
I will say this.
I don't know if
he's almost more of a penetrating type guy despite his size right now, although he is starting to settle. Like DeQuan Jones, so Buffalo Billsy, gets hurt during fucking warmups, and he might be out for quite a while, by the way. Pops his calf. Deone Walker played like 80% of the snaps against Atlanta. And if there was one, he had 4 tackles for a loss in that game. If there was one from first quarter to fourth quarter bright spot for the Bills, it was probably Deone Walker. Not perfect. He's still inconsistent. He's still got things to work on, but man, and you want to talk about somebody to build around or something to be happy about? Yet another day 3 pick that Brandon Beans hit on when he doesn't hit on day 1 and 2 picks. There you go again with Brandon Bean, man. It's just wild. But
hey, they finally made a hit on defensive linemen for the first time since Ed Oliver.
How much you put on a coach when you watch? Even if you don't watch the film, you listen to people talk about the film or whatever. Guys like Bernard and Milano, and especially Taylor Rapp, they always seem to be in the wrong gap. You hear about them, well, they did the outside shoulder, they did this wrong, they did that wrong. Bobby Babbage doesn't get any heat, I feel like. I feel like it's all Joe Brady. We beat the shit out of Joe Brady, and we don't beat up Bobby Babbage at all. And I kind of feel like Bobby Babbage deserves, if we're going to give out that smoke, I'm going to be angry. I kind of feel like Bobby Babbage deserves some of that smoke, too, because there just seems to be fundamentally weak, not technically sound football from the Buffalo Bills right now.
I agree with that. He definitely deserves shit, but you also it's tougher. I think Brady gets more crap because I think there's the assumption that the defense is McDermott's defense along with Babbage. You know what I mean? Like it's still maybe it is, maybe it's not. But I'll just say this: I have not been very happy with the Bills defense since Bobby Babbage just took over. Like I don't think it's been as good. I think the thing they've done well is they force turnovers, and that's kind of drying up a little bit. But considering that when Babbage got, I remember that whole like off season when Bill's Twitter was like they need to make Bobby Babbage to DC. Like we can't lose him to Miami or the end of the world's gonna happen. And okay, fine, because I get it. He was a good linebackers coach. Like he helped Milano, he helped Bernard. But you know what? There is a difference. You can be a good position coach in this league and do that job forever, but that means you may not be a good coordinator. Aaron Cromer's a hell of an offensive line coach. He's awesome. He was an offensive line coordinator before, and he was terrible. It
That's fair.
happens sometimes, and I think we're in that. I thought the way that first half was against the Falcons, I honestly thought McDermott took his play callings away in the second half. That's how bad it was, and then they got incredibly good in the second half. But I agree, like Brady's getting more shit than I think Babbage does because of the reasons I've said. But he's definitely getting more Brady.
Let me pull up a tweet from Bootsy Jones, or a live chat in the comment section from Bootsy Jones. That's a pretty dope name, by the way. I think this really summarizes the Bills' defense. The last line sarcasm, but everything else is legit. He says, worst safety room, most disappointing linebackers room, underperforming D-line. Thank God we have a defensive coach. I think that's a big problem. And I will say this. I don't think the defense was any better last year. I think here's what the difference is. They got a lot of takeaways last year. The Bills.
Yeah, I just said that.
You're
stealing my heat as always. Go ahead. Yes, I said that. That's what they did.
They're not making up for it this year. They're losing the turnover battle.
Yeah,
that's been the big difference. The Bills kind of made up like last year. They gave up a lot of yards. They couldn't get off the field on third down. But yeah, man, they got takeaways to make up for that. Takeaways are the great equalizer always, and they're not doing that this year. So if you're not there, it's not sustainable to rely on getting those turnovers. Last thing, let me ask you this, because I don't want to get to a couple of these before we get out of here. A lot of negativity. I just said at the beginning of the show, a lot of fans are being negative this year. There's a lot of this show's been negative. There's been a lot to be negative about. But
it's mostly because you're wrong. That's what we're negative about.
The thing that I think we're going to have to see play out, I hate circling back to it, but I can't help it, is the Keon Coleman thing. Is anything going to change with Keon? We're going to see. We'll find out. I'm going to tell you right now, Joe, we might argue every week, because if Josh Palmer has 3 catches for 30 yards and Keon Coleman has 3 catches for 30 yards, they're not the same to me. To me, I'm going to be more critical of Keon Coleman having 3 catches for 30 yards. I'm going
to be more critical of Joe Brady, because Joe Brady has designed an offense that these wide receivers aren't getting 90 catches.
Be more critical of Brandon Beane for drafting Keon Coleman, actually, if anything. Maybe that's common ground.
I'm being more of a Joe Brady, because since Joe Brady has gotten here, he is taking the alpha male wide receiver position and just says no. Everyone has to get on the field. Everyone's got to play 40% of the snaps. Everyone's got to get 6 targets a game. And then we can all jerk off afterwards and be like, oh, my God, 11 catches. It did work. But
it worked this year early on, too. And then it just stopped.
But maybe it's, like I said, but I'm telling you, adding a new wide receiver like it did with
Well, we'll find out this week. We'll find out. The trade deadline's actually not this week. It's not the following Tuesday. But I would think that they'd want to get a receiver this week. It'll be interesting. Monday, Tuesday, going into before practice Wednesday. Will there be any trade? There'll be a couple trades around the league.
Let's see if Brown, the Bills, baby. He's coming here.
Okay. Here's what I wanted to ask you. Last thing about the Bills.
Go ahead.
A lot of negativity today, but they're 4-2. What would you say if you want to paint an optimistic picture? What about this team, or in your gut, or whatever way you want to phrase it, what about this team right now still has you feeling, I'm not rattled. It's early. What makes you feel good about this team? What makes you feel optimistic? The season's not over. What makes you feel optimistic that this could still be the year that the Bills get to what they've been doing every year, but this time they break through that wall and they win the AFC? What would be the optimistic viewpoint from you?
Josh Allen. I mean, that's really the thing. You have him. He's your cheat code. That's where this team goes. But outside of him, I want to see how the steroid boys are going to do when they get back into the lineup. We haven't talked about them, Hoyt and Joby, whatever the hell his name is.
Sure.
Yeah.
Larry Ogunjobi.
Yeah, you know what? You hate them now, but wait till next week, and now the film bros are gonna have film up, and then you're gonna be like, oh my God, this is the second coming. This is like Rob Riddick.
I'll give you one non-Josh Allen thing. Josh Allen thing right now.
Sure.
I think the Bills are not panicked whatsoever. I would say this like they're frustrated and annoyed, especially Josh Allen, as he should be. But I don't we're panicked, fans are panicked, media's panicked, content creators are panicked. I don't think the Buffalo Bills are panicked whatsoever. I think Sean McDermott's using his bye week and that they'll truly figure some shit out. Like, if nothing else, you are not going to see a 3rd and 1 end around again the rest of the season. I can tell you that right now. It's not going to happen. I think if Taylor Rapp's not benched, I think that leash got really short. And you might even say that with a couple other guys as well. I think this team is still calm and composed.
Mm-hmm.
They've been through this a lot, actually, 4 times now in the last 5 years. This is nothing new to them where they play bad. Now, the next 2 weeks are going to be huge. Carolina, by the way, 3 in a row. They're 4-3. I know Bryce Young injured his ankle, was limping around a little bit. We'll see how that goes, but that's going to be a tough test. And then you got Kansas City at home. That's going to be the measuring stick. If the Bills win these next 2 games, we're going to look back, and a lot of people are going to laugh at some of their takes that they've had over the last 10 days or so if they beat Carolina and the Chiefs, because things will be right back on track, and I feel like the Bills are not panicked whatsoever.
Did you rehearse that in the mirror this morning when you were hungover? That's a good speech, buddy.
I was not hungover. I did not drink last night. Let me give you a confession. If, by the way, we're an hour and 15 minutes in. We'll probably be here another 15 minutes. Thank you, everybody, for
I gotta do a flush
tuning
more
in.
And
you got to do your flush more.
Plus Pat's balls more.
But no. I will say, I should have said this at the beginning when there were a lot more of the regulars here. But some people did notice, and I thank you for that. Last Monday, there was no show. We didn't do a live Sunday night show. And which was a Monday podcast. So live Sunday video / Monday podcast. There was no show. I did a pod bag solo episode on Saturday to make up for it. So I still have 5. The real reason, the honest reason why we didn't do that show was because I had the hangover of the century, a hangover of the lifetime last week. I did not get out of bed until 6 p.m. last Sunday. I didn't have the energy to go get some food until almost 8 p.m. Our show's supposed to be at 9 o'clock on Sunday. I texted Joe at around 6:37. I said, bro, I'm not.
You know, you're lucky I don't really have a life because I have a kid. Because what if I wanted to make plans? What if I wanted to go out with my wife that night? And then you cancel at 7 o'clock. You kind of waited
2 hours.
You gave me an hour notice. You could have woke me up at oh, hey,
you didn't want to do the show. You said you wanted to watch a TV show.
What did I want to watch last week? I don't remember, but it's fine. It's fine. I'm glad you.
I'm just letting the people.
Everyone knows you're drunk. I mean, dude, they follow you on Twitter, and then you talk about it's day drink Saturday.
I'm done with shots. By the way,
God,
that was it. Last week was it with shots.
You know
Patty beers, patty pints. I'm going to be for now on, man. I'm going to drink pints of beer. I had 1 pint Saturday night. Yesterday felt like I woke up at 8:15. $1 million, but last week was literally the hangover lifetime. I never miss shows because I'm hungover, and I did.
By the way, Ralph Wilson Jr. had a great point about Babbage in the chat. I'm just going to paraphrase it because I know it's a while back. He basically said Babbage doesn't have Josh Allen, the defense, in terms of getting criticized, which makes complete sense. And I think that's why Brady gets a lot of shit. He has the unicorn. There is no unicorn on the Bills defense. We can sit there there's Magabosa, no. Ed Oliver's good, but they're not in the same stratosphere as Josh Allen.
Agreed. It will be if the Bills defense improves and plays better down the stretch, and in January, most importantly, it's going to be collectively. Guys do make plays, but there's no game wrecker a week to week. The Bills don't have that on defense, nor will they. Anyway, I apologize, like I said, for no live show last week. Let's get into our Mount Flushmore. Now, because the Bills didn't play, typically, and again, I always got to say it for new people, most people do Mount Rushmore every week. Joe does a Mount Flushmore, which is the worst of something. This season has been the worst of Highmark Stadium stuff because it's the last season of Highmark. However, there's no game this week, so we'll hit on that with Carolina probably next week, but not sports. Let's do something different today. What do you got? What's your Mount Flushmore for this weekend? People, if you're still listening, play along.
Well, since Pat was, confessed to being drunk as AF last week, and he couldn't do a Sunday show or into Monday, I wanted to do the worst things that you can do at a bar as a patriot. At a bar, yes, at a bar. The worst things you can do. Do not do this. This is on the Flushmore. Don't do this. So number one, and Pat, you could kind of help a little bit because you used to be a bartender. I can imagine you were a horrible bartender.
I was a pretty good bartender.
I can picture you looking at the looking at the TV like this. Oh, look at this. Oh, and then some guy's like, "Hello."
I would
And
drink I would drink
you
with the
drink
clientele. I would
anything.
get drunk with them, and if you knew me, you got your drinks right away. If you were a stranger, you came in the bar, I would shun you and ignore you, and
You were
you'd have
like
to
the
wait. So
you were like
I
the
was an
asshole.
okay bartender. I was okay.
You were like the asshole bartender in Roadhouse that Dalton fired because he was drinking too much on the job.
That's fair.
That's
All right,
fair. All right, number one. Speaking of bartenders, do not be the guy who takes $1 and you're at the bar like this. He has a Sabres thing, but you're like waving it, waiting for the bartender to get your help. You don't want to be that guy.
yes.
Don't do this. It's annoying. He
No
will get
waving.
to you when you get to no waving. No waving. Like this.
What all right, so what's your proper way to get a bartender's attention on a busy night? You can't just you'll sit there for 90 minutes if you don't do something. Waving the dollar is a little pretentious. I agree with that, but
I mean, I would say maybe have the drink out or go like the have
you
me
have
have
it
a
like
finger.
this, but not waving. Like if you have your drink, empty drink like this, or maybe
like a finger.
a dollar bill or something, but not waving. There's a big difference between holding something up and not waving.
An eye contact, like
Okay.
like you're like kind of like, hey, hey, can I get this? But definitely not this. Like, don't do that. That's the worst thing you have to do. Number two, you're getting food. You go to the bar, and you're like, hey, I want to order food. And the bartender goes to you and goes, okay, sure. What do you want? And you're looking at the menu trying to figure it out.
So
And
be
then you're
prepared. Know what you want.
Be prepared, people. Know what you want and then order food. He's not going to sit there and wait. He's got to serve Patreons and all that sort of stuff. Like, you definitely, you need to not, you can't be doing that. You can't be ordering that. Number three, don't be the annoying, I'm sure you do this. Don't be the annoying guy who goes up to the DJ booth and requests a song. Don't be doing that. You wait until the songs are played. You just sit and relax. You don't go, there's no DJ request. This isn't a wedding. You don't go up to the DJ and go, I want you to play this. No, you don't do that. I mean, to see that you don't do that. The DJ has his own job to do. Okay, you don't do that. He has his songs. He's gonna pick. Well, because we all know you're gonna pick 80 songs, and then like half the millennials
are gonna pick 80s. Of course, I'm gonna pick 80s.
Yeah, and half the millennials are gonna walk out the freaking.
It depends
door.
how you do it, how you go about it. I think there's a lane. I think there's an avenue where you could request music from the DJ without being overbearing about it.
Okay. No, and then number 4, I'm gonna flip the script and say this: do not take away people's fake IDs. They go in, and you don't gotta take it away. You can say, "No, not tonight, buddy. Sorry." Don't take away their fake IDs. Like, come on, man. Like, these kids need a drink. I can tell you I may actually go into this. I had so many fake IDs. I got a misdemeanor once because I was dumb enough. I'll tell you this quick story. I was like not. I had a fake ID when I was like 16. Like, I was really young. It was
fake or chalked. Are you talking chalk? Or are you talking like
everyone? Dude, I could not. You seem like someone when you were in high school back in the 60s that you had to go, and you seem like I want to sit at home and drink at home with my friends. I was the complete opposite. I needed to go out. I could not have a sausage party. I couldn't do that. I had to go to a bar. I don't care where. So I was obsessed with having IDs. So my first ever fake ID was a chalked ID. It was from 80 to 69. So I was 16 years old. My learner's permit was chalked. I was 27. And it was only in one time I was stupid enough where I had a souped up car. I had an 89 Cavalier in 97. I had tinted windows. I had a radio system. I was asking to get pulled over. And I decided one time to buy a black light and put it in the back of my car and have the light on because it would be purple. I don't know what the F I was thinking. I bought it from Circuit City. I get that. I'm driving down Main Street. I cross Bailey. So I'm leaving Buffalo and going into Amherst, which we all know that intersection, they're waiting to pull people over who come from Buffalo into Amherst because those cops suck ass. So all of a sudden I get pulled over. And I'm like, okay, great. So dumbass me, I get pulled over because of my black light. And then I take my ID out. I have my regular ID. And then underneath there, I have like my permit, like my registration, all this sort of stuff. And underneath that, I have my chalked ID. I pull it out. the officer saw part, like the littlest smidge of another ID. It was like, let me see that other ID. And I'm like, sure. Takes the ID. This is chalked. Gives me a ticket for a misdemeanor. I had to go and get a lawyer for a misdemeanor for having a chalked ID. That cost me, the lawyer cost me $500 in 1999. No, like 98 or whatever. And I was like, this is ridiculous. So like, don't take anyone's ID. And I got that. And I also got one time got taken away. I've gotten taken away at bars in Canada. So anyway, the point is, don't be the asshole monster that takes away ID. Don't just let them go and go away.
Like, go try somewhere else.
Go try somewhere else.
That's fair. And by the way, you were half right. I wasn't really so much of a bar person when I was a teenager,
you
underage. But I didn't know. I didn't know. Used to go out all the time, but we would go drink outside. We would walk around. We would go give, like, our guy who was of age or had the best fake ID or looked the oldest, who wouldn't get proofed. He'd buy the beer, and we'd walk around, the Elmwood area a little bit. The Elmwood Bidwell area, we'd walk up and down there. The whole, Lafayette High School football team thinking we were cool idiots wearing our jerseys every Friday night or Saturday night, whatever, after a game. And we would walk around drinking, but we really didn't go to bar. I had a chalked ID like everybody else. Let me give you two quick ones here, and then we'll wrap up. One for each way. One of my things to not do, don't order food 2 minutes before the kitchen closes. Like, if a kitchen's open in 10, like, say, I'll give you an example, Imperial Pizza, because I know for a fact that they stay open at 10 o'clock. You could technically order food at 9:58. Don't do that. They've cleaned down their stations. They're ready to go, especially if it's not even busy. And you order food, that sucks for that person. So if you're going to get food, don't get it a minute before the kitchen opens. That's bullshit. And then the last one is, when the bartender, and I've seen this a million times, I've been the bartender, I've also been on the other end of the bar. When they call last call, and then they'll say, all right, wrap it up, I'm getting ready to leave. Don't make the bartender repeat that 3 times. I see people, they're just sitting there to drink a while. You called last call, I got a pint of beer, and then I'm sitting there sipping on it for 45 fucking minutes when the bartender's ready to go. You know what I mean? So don't sit there beyond the proper amount of time after the bartender calls last call because they're waiting to get out of there. So don't overstay. Don't overstay your welcome, I guess is what I'm saying.
And a bonus one, take your drinks when you're finished them and you're sitting like a stool somewhere, like a table, and bring them to the bar. It helps out. Like, bring them to don't leave them there. Like, be a nice guy. It helps the bartender out. And like, you got to help your bartenders.
Yeah,
like I respect the bartenders. I always am not. I try to be. I wish you could have been a bartender for me. I would have beat you in the bloody pulp.
Chooch in the live chat said not to. Don't puke on the bar top. Buy Coke from the cook in the kitchen, etc.
I did puke on a bar top once. That was not fun. I heard the next day because it was at work. It was like a work party, and I just all over the bar. And then, like, I heard the next day, some guy was like, yeah, man, I put my hand on puke at the bar. And I was like, that was my puke. Sorry. I didn't say anything, but I was like,
I've seen some
no DNA.
Seen some messed up shit through the years. I've seen a lot of messed up.
I'm sure you puked on the bar many times.
Puker, man. Like last week when I told you I didn't get out of bed till 6, I didn't puke. I was just, feel shitty, feel sick. I rarely ever throw up. But anyway, what's really cool about the people. And again, I don't want to, serve the live chat too much because this is a podcast and most people aren't watching this live. But
some guy named Matt in the chat is getting killed.
Yeah, they're going at it. I love it. We're talking about shit that you don't do at a bar. And we still got our own separate section that are kind of beefing with each other. They clearly don't give a shit what we're talking about at this point. But they're trying to settle
Walker
their own
puked
beefs.
in the urinal once, according to the comments. He puked in the urinal once. It felt
yeah,
bad.
That's not fun for whoever's got to clean. Which,
Or
by the
whoever has
way,
to
that's
pee. Who
something
wants to
else
pee
that
in
happens a lot. But what are you gonna? You know what? A little bit of a controversial take. I'm not gonna hold puking against some. Well, maybe I will. You shouldn't get to that point. But I don't think you want to puke. Like holding up your money and being an asshole to get a drink or overstaying your welcome. Some of the things we talked about, you could control that. I don't think anybody wants to puke in the urinal or on the fucking bar or any of that stuff. So, I don't know, man. Anyway, real quick, before we get out of here, I took an hour and a half literally to even bring them up. But the Sabres have won 2 in a row. And I got to tell you, I've been watching all the games. So if you are a Sabres fan, during the week, if it's a Monday, a Wednesday, or a Thursday especially, there's going to be a good chance going forward now that we go live on Talking Buffalo and I'll have a guest. I've been going on live right after the games, which is maybe watch the games from start to finish. And I got to tell you, this Sabres team that I've seen the last 2 games is not the team we've seen the first 3 games. They look really good. I think they found a legit goalie in Alex Lyon. He looks the part, man. I'm impressed with him. And then the other guy I'm really impressed with is that Josh Doane kid. And we could murder Kevin Adams for a lot of shit, but that J.J. Peterka trade might turn out to be a really good trade for the Sabres because Kesselring's the bigger fish in that deal, and he's hurt. He hasn't even played yet, but Josh Doane looks awesome, and you can tell he's a fan favorite already, man. I mean, he puts the puck in the net. He's playing on the power play. He's physical. He sticks up for his teammates. He's a good scorer. He's been a good playmaker. There's been a lot of good shit going on right now to like about Josh Doane and Alex Lyon, who are 2 offseason pickups for the Sabres. They're 2-3. Josh Norris got hurt. They scored 2 goals in the first 3 games. It was Laugh City again because here we go. This team sucks. They were 0 for 11 on the power play, and they look really good. In that game Saturday, I know Florida's shorthanded with some injuries, but the Sabres, man, it felt good to actually see the crowd give them a standing ovation, a prolonged one at the end of the game, man. It would be nice, Joe, to be able to talk about the Sabres here and there this season when you're on or whoever without making fun of them. You know what I mean? Actually have legitimate talk about a team.
Yeah, no, it would be great. I sadly missed the game Saturday because I was actually napping when your Talking Buffalo podcast gave me a nightmare when I was because I didn't realize there was a matinee game, but I did watch the game against Ottawa, and they scored a bunch of goals, and I was like, okay, great. Like now they're not dead last in goals or whatever they were doing before. But yeah, Doane looks really good. You know, and they got him on that trade, and we'll see what happens. Look, I'm not buying into anything with the Sabres as of right now, but you're right. It would be nice to have a good conversation about them for, once in a while. But Lyon has been great.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at some of these live chat comments, which I'll get to in a second. Go ahead. Okay. I'm sorry.
But no, the goalie has been great. Like, he's been a surprise. We'll give Kevin Adams some credit. And look, no one's going to buy into the Sabres unless they go on a 7-game winning streak. And even then, I don't think people will buy into it. You know what I mean? So, but yes, it's nice that they won a couple games in a row.
Don't get buried in this. Let's have some hope for this season. The reason why I laughed, and we'll end on this note. So we were talking about shit you don't do at a bar. Our live chat decided to turn this into the dumbest shit you've done apparently when you're drunk.
Oh, wow.
And
oh God, that's definitely.
So Maxie says, I took a shit in someone's kitchen sink when I was drunk once. I don't care.
Yeah,
I would kill you if you did that in my house. I'm gonna throw that out there. No bones about it. I pissed on my own refrigerator once when I was blacked out drunk. I could see that happening. I could see that.
Dude, I'll tell you.
Shitting, no. Pissing on the fridge, I could see that.
I think you and me could do a podcast one day about bad drunken guys. I'll say this though. One time
Bill Slayer, I shit in a public.
Yeah, I didn't. There's nothing with my shits. I know. I remember one time I went to Red Room, which I don't think is still there anymore, but it was on Chippewa in Franklin or something, or Delaware, and some asshole I didn't even know bought like a tray of shots, and then we were all crying. I was 21 at the time, and I started guzzling them, and next thing I know, and I kind of pieced it together, I think I fell in the middle of the street, and some security guard picked me up and put me in a room, and I fell asleep and passed out in a sink, and I woke up the next day in a sink in the bottoms of a parking ramp in a sink. And my shoes were gone.
How did this podcast take such a turn over the last 20 minutes? Ralph Wilson said Pukin Buffalo podcast.
Funny. But it was like I said, I've had worse. But thank God you and I weren't friends when I was in my 20s and you were in your 40s or whatever.
It's not that much of a difference. We're a one generational difference.
Okay,
I said this with Perino on the show because when we did Chihuahua Country Club, he's the same age as you.
He's 2 years younger than me. He actually, I don't know if Mafia Matt told you this, but we went to the same elementary school.
He did tell me that before.
Yeah, he was 2 years older than me, or I was 2 years older than him.
You were 2 years older. But anyway, you're the same generation. I said the same thing to him last week because we were at the Cheektowaga Country Club, which, by the way, everyone, you should go check that shit out, man. But
that's a pet peeve. Real quick. No, stop saying putt-putt. It is not putt-putt.
Miniature golf?
Yes, dude. Putt-putt closed like 30 years ago. It's
It's the
miniature
same
golf.
shit. All right,
No, it's
fine.
not. No one knows what putt-putt is. Putt-putt closed 20 years ago. It's miniature golf. If I went to my wife and said, "Hey, you want to go putt-putt?" She went, "What's a putt-putt? What the hell's that?" No, it's miniature golf. Get it right. I look. I do miss putt-putt on Sheridan and what was it by the Galleria Mall, the other location. I do
The
miss
Sheridan
that.
one I used to go to when I was a kid in Tonawanda, or
Same.
Kenmore, Kenton, whatever
I went
you
there too all the
you
time.
want to
Yeah.
call that area. But anyway, all right, miniature golf,
Thank
pinball
you.
machines, arcade, bubble hockey, all this stuff brought me back. One of the things I loved about the place was it took me back to being a kid. And Perino was kind of sort of the same way.
50s were great when you were a kid.
No, see, that's where you're wrong. You keep acting like you're telling like we're 4 generations apart. We're not. I am 1 generation ahead of you. Like I grew up, I was a kid in the late 70s and then throughout the 80s. And you were a kid in like the late 80s and then throughout the 90s. Not that fucking big of a difference. What's our guy Mike Parton saying? Puppet is like saying Band-Aid or Kleenex or Coke. Their brand's not the actual product.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah, she
Putt
agrees
Putt.
with me. It's not Putt-Putt. Putt-Putt was a brand, was a brand that went under, and now it's Adventure Landing or something. So stop.
Putt Putt sounds so witty.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's
Adventure
called
Landing?
miniature. It's called miniature golf, bro.
Adventure Landing. I can't remember that.
No, that's what
place.
Putt-Putt is. No, Putt-Putt's not. It's Adventure Landing now. On the one on Sheridan, it's Adventure.
Oh, is it
Landing.
really?
Yeah, it's Adventure Landing now. So I've driven past it a bunch of times even when I go back home because
Richard Rush has put a perfect bow on this podcast because
Yeah,
we
we're
are
way
way off the rails. We are way off the rails, but it's fun. It's bye week. Next week, so let me set up here as we're getting out the next couple of days. Tomorrow's show, I'm actually going to be on live again right after the Sabres are in Montreal. I'm going to be on with Steve Bermel. We will react to that. We'll talk more Bills. We'll start talking about Carolina. They got a game this week, so that'll be Monday or Tuesday's podcast, I'm sorry. And then Wednesday's podcast, Matt Warren will join me like he does every week from SB Nation.
Matt Warren the 7th.
He's kind of like my grade analysis guy. And we'll kind of go through positionally, and he'll grade the Bills where they're at. And again, we'll start to talk more and more about Carolina. Not sure about the rest of the week, but again, the Bills play next Sunday, 1 o'clock. I'm so happy. These primetime games, except for one, they play at Houston on a Thursday night. I hate that. I hate that for us. But aside from that, they're all Sunday 1 or 4 o'clock games now going forward, as far as I know. So
We should ask the chat right now. Like, do you prefer us doing an 8 o'clock show, a 9 o'clock show, or do you want us after the game? Like,
shit, why did you think of that an hour and a half ago? That's a great question.
Well, we should ask now. They could do it now. We can talk more about getting wasted. But like, you can ask that. Like, everyone like behind baseball or inside baseball. Me and Pat have been trying to figure out like, should we do
what's the best time to go on live after a Bills game?
Because Pat's like, we do it at 9, there's not many end. But if we do it at 4 or 5, we got to go against Bill's squad and cover 8, and then the Chopin the Bulldog and
there's
and
a million
Mafia shout
things
and
going
all
on
that.
at the same time. If you
Yeah.
go, well, that's actually not right after the game. There's a 1 or 2 right after the game. Then there's a few that are an hour or 2 after the game, and then there's us. Like I said, we like to go 8 or 9. I kind of like doing it at 9 p.m. because it's consistent. But if there's a 1 o'clock game, I kind of feel like if the game's from 1 to 4 and people are listening from 4 to 6 or 7 on various other things, that by the time it gets to be 9 o'clock, plus this, I think this is slanted. A lot of our regulars love being on here live at 9 o'clock. So they're going to say 9. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they got to
it.
listen to Podfather and Bruce All Lazy. Actually, no, Lazy has a Wednesday podcast.
He's got a Thursday podcast. He does one a
Whatever.
week.
That's
it's
why
awesome.
that's why it's Bruce All Lazy.
Bruce All Lazy. Yeah.
Bruce All Lazy.
It's one of my.
Bruce All Lazy.
He guests on about 20 different podcasts though every week. He's awesome, man. Anyway,
When's he gonna come on? Why don't you have him as a guest on Thursday? Why don't you get him on?
I've had him on many times.
But you haven't had him on in a while. When was that?
Not in a while. No,
you haven't had him on since you haven't had him on since the Circle Jerk podcast summit. So you should probably have him on again to talk.
We're
about
going to see the chat is almost overwhelming. It's 9 p.m.
Okay.
So next, I'll let you know now. But just to be safe, follow me on social media at Patrick Moran TV. I'll always let you know well ahead of time when we're going to be live. So just check in on us or go to the Talking Buffalo podcast Facebook page. Follow us there. So you'll always know when we're going on. All right, man, let's get out of here. This was a good show. This was a lot of fun. I do appreciate everybody very much, man. This was a good show. All right, it's just too loud, baby. But anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for listening, for watching. We'll be back. Brand new show. Steve Bermel will join me live right after the Sabres game here on Monday night. Talk to you guys then.